Welcome to another Sigma Life Hangout. Today we're discussing with two members of Hands-on Famagusta, Emre Akpio and Sokratis Stratis. What is Hands-on Famagusta?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us. And this is a project which actually answers a challenge. What kind of support do we need to formulate visions about Famagusta after the political agreement? And in fact, how can we have a common vision about the city that we should start talking about it now? And what we have created so far, it's a web platform in www.handsonfamagusta.org that you may visit. And I just wanted to say a few things before, and then maybe Emre can just elaborate. Mm-hmm. The project is, in fact, started 3-4 years ago, and this is a phase that we started exactly a year ago. In fact, I think we had a summer workshop in the 20th of June, in 2014, and it's a project which is funded by USAID, by UNDP through Mahala platform, and it's supported in kind by the University of Cyprus. Mm-hmm. There have been a lot of volunteers, really enthusiastic young people who have supported us the last year, and you can find all their names on the web platform, and we thank them very much. And this is a project that it's process of making it. I mean, we launched the platform 2 weeks ago, but the whole year itself has been an engaging process of inviting people who have relationships to Famagusta, but also who want to dream about a unified Cyprus.
So in essence, Hands-on Famagusta is a bi-communal, I wouldn't say organization, a group that dares to envision Famagusta, which is iconic for Cyprus. The case of Famagusta is iconic because it's a very special case in Cypriot terms, in that it's an abandoned city. No one has been in Famagusta, in the closed city of Famagusta, as we call it, for decades. Mm-hmm. And it's how people, I would say it's how Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots envision rebuilding Cyprus through something that has been essentially dead for so many decades. Would you say that is the case?
It has been dead for decades, but that gives actually a potential energy, like almost like a reservoir. Mm-hmm. Like you're collecting this water, and this energy is continuously building. And we are actually, I think, trying to get beyond this iconic image. Mm-hmm. There is this iconic perspective in both north and in south, and they're building their own stereotypes about this icon. Mm-hmm. It's not just the closed Varosha, it's about whole Famagusta. There are many aspects, and it generates many stereotypes, this division. So the first thing we wanted to do was to go beyond it. So we started to disintegrate this duality. We start to speak beyond this closed and open space, but we start to say this place is
the whole of Famagusta,
consisted of many fragments, mm-hmm. and each one of these fragments actually has potentials within themselves, but they're isolated within themselves as well. So
how are they isolated from each other?
For example, there are military zones, they have fenced. We have the university, it's fenced. We have the port, it's fenced. We have the free port zone, it's fenced. Varosha is fenced. So each and every entity which makes the city actually has really strong borders. And there are some daily practices which create these borders too. And this daily practices make people feel a bit powerless in the face of the after solution mm-hmm. environment, let's say. Because this daily practice is what provides you the interface of coming together, and it doesn't exist.
The project started 3-4 years ago, when potential for a solution was quite
distant.
Yeah. I would say. But then again, you both and your whole team dared to dream a reunited Cyprus and a reunited, a new Famagusta. How was that process? How did you go from envisioning something like that to working for actual results? Because now we get to see, as you were saying before, avatar Famagusta, which makes everything a whole more real.
Yeah, I think first of all, this project started as a competition that we won with LA Partnership and myself for the Ministry of Interior, and it was giving a preliminary study for what happens to Famagusta after political agreement. Mm-hmm. And that one, in fact, we thought that it was impossible to do without the participation of Turkish Cypriot colleagues. So through some personal networks, because it was impossible to have any formal relationship, we got in touch with some colleagues, and then Emre and Esra and Munever arrived to the team.
When you say colleagues, let's just make it clear for our viewers.
They're architects and planners. Mm-hmm. And I think what was very important for us, we didn't know each other, so we entered in the process of creating a common concern between us. And the territory of Famagusta itself became the device to create an understanding of what is Famagusta. And I think we actually used ourselves as a first testing for this, and it was very important that what we are facing now is, and that's what actually we want to make very clear and very urgent, is that our narratives, from one hand the Greek-speaking Cypriots, and from the other hand the Turkish-speaking Cypriots, are split. When you talk on one side, they will talk to you about the fenced-off Varosha, because that was actually the city before 1974. And they, even if they know very well that Famagusta goes up to Salamina and there's the old city of Famagusta, which is beautiful, they kind of limit themselves within that area. If you talk to, and what it's actually their legitimate kind of thinking is that we want our land back. Mm-hmm. And this absence of territory, it's actually their narrative. And you see that in their everyday life. If you go to the Turkish-speaking Cypriots, it's their everyday life. And this fenced-off area, it's a black hole which is next to their city, which has been developed since 1974. And Emre actually grew up next to this black hole. And it was for me very kind of important to listen to somebody who grew up next to this. And I think when you start thinking about the future of a city, when the inhabitants of the city have completely different image of their city, then you have a huge issue. Mm-hmm. And I think our aim was to create new images, new maps of what is the city, and create, even if people don't agree with, at least to realize that their common concern is something else from what they had in mind. And why are we doing that? We're doing this because if we don't this, we are actually moving ahead to the new divided city of Cyprus, where the Greek-speaking Cypriots will be on the south part and the Turkish-speaking Cypriots will be on the north part.
That's quite interesting.
And I think even if we dare to say that, people get shocked. Yeah. Because, and then our whole project is about how do we create a unified,
as we
which
see
is
now,
like,
the
you
pieces
see that it's coming
together. Yeah.
So that's what we are kind of aiming for. But to do that, and why to do that? People say, but the communities have been kind of segregated for, why not leave it the communities as they used to be? And I think if Famagusta tomorrow starts as a new city, it has to compete with the rest of cities of Cyprus. Mm-hmm. It has to compete with the huge infrastructures that the rest of the cities have. It has to compete with the Middle East kind of region. It has to compete with the Eastern Mediterranean area. And the only way to survive, it has to create a critical mass and to be able to actually be at the very kind of quality level and attract investments, attract new citizens, and become a contemporary city.
I would add to that saying it has to live up to expectations that people have built up since the 70s, because when in 74 they left a gem. It was one of the most beautiful, most touristically advanced areas in Cyprus, and now people are expecting that to become again or reinvent itself as a gem on the island, and that is really difficult. But you as architects, you have your own vision, you have your own idea, you've built around that idea, but that is not the point of hands-on Famagusta. From what I understand, what you're trying to do is suggest to people what you believe Famagusta should look like or could look like, but in essence you're inviting them to give you ideas as to what they want Famagusta to look like after a solution.
Yeah, I mean, people have immense power actually. The only thing that they don't have is the realization of this power. And what we're trying to do is to generate this platform of debate. Welcome them to express their ideas and listen to other ideas. Be accustomed to negotiating ideas, because each idea that you will propose as an actor of urban space will be contested by another actor. And you should be aware of these different possibilities that will emerge through space.
And do it in a sober way.
Yeah.
Not thinking that I'm a Greek Cypriot trying to impose my idea on a Turkish Cypriot colleague, or vice versa. It's just too professional, two Cypriots trying to work for the same goal.
Or to take it out of the ethnic-based controversies, privatization versus public needs, for example. So the private needs have this tendency to dominate space, public space too. So what kind of other options do we have? What is the platform to construct this debate? Where do these stand? What is the advantage of a public port versus a privatized port? What is the advantage of a beach which is used by many people, open to public, and a beach which is accessed by just few people?
And how would people, civilians, use this tool, this platform, handsonfamagusta.org? If I should log on right now, what can I do in the site, on the platform?
Yeah, I think what's very important is that we're coming from a culture that and every time Famagusta comes on the news, there are always this kind of news that the master plan for Famagusta is being prepared in the secret office somewhere abroad, not in Cyprus. And I think this gives us also our kind of culture that we are very much accustomed to be imposed plans for our future. And that's, for us, it's actually, how can we avoid that? And to avoid that, it's not by kind of neutralizing, saying we all love each other and we're going to come in a way to make a city. A city is made as an arena of different priorities. And I think what this platform does, it gives to the user to understand the other points of views, to get a kind of a role playing. So for example, if you go to the actors and agendas, that's where it's now, you see Famagusta inhabitants, public transport services, environmentalists, commercial agents, and the controversy.
So you get the information.
Yeah, and you get a question. The controversy is how, in this case, was about a main artery of Famagusta, which is Salamina Avenue, can become actually an axis of public infrastructures that can bring people together instead of being only
a transit zone.
Yeah, and dominated by cars. Of course, this is not only about Famagusta. Suddenly you find yourself in how cities and decisions about cities are taken. Then you can ally yourself, or you can identify yourself with an actor. You can find another city maybe you have visited. And I'll just give you an example about the port. There's a big debate about giving back fenced-off area of Varosha and making the port as a commercial port. But then when we talk to people, we realize in order to have a commercial port in Famagusta, you need to compete with Limassol port. And what we did, we took simply an aerial photo of the Limassol port and we put it next to an aerial photo of Famagusta. And if you see the difference in size, only that gives you a hint that if you want a commercial port, you have to destroy the whole waterfront. You can do it, but these are the consequences.
You have to destroy the heritage, the old city itself. Actually.
So you actually put out the information and let people decide and make educated decisions.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. And don't forget, log on to www.handsonfamagusta.org. Get yourself educated, and we can build this city together, right?
Thank you very much.
Hopefully.
Thank you for watching.